Hey guys, welcome back to more Karen stories. In this video, a ridiculous thieving neighbor Karen repeatedly stole my mail and Amazon packages and refused to stop. Let's dive right into the title story to find out what happened. The first one is titled, Neighbor Karen won't stop stealing my Amazon packages/mail. Before I talk about what happened, I need to just give credit and a shout out to Mark Rober, or Robber, I forgot actually how he's called. He makes yearly videos making insane glitter bombs to punish people who steal packages. My entire idea was based off of him, and my neighbor is a Karen, but maybe not the exact kind you're thinking about. She's not some rich lady with a dog and a $10,000 bag and wearing gold and all of that crap. The area I live in is pretty lower middle class, and most of us, including Karen's family, are just trying to scrape by. What makes her a Karen though is that she is very entitled and she thinks she is better than everybody else still. She might be a little bit trashy honestly with how she acts, but I still think it qualifies her as being a Karen. She leaves beer cans all over the place and when asked to pick them up just says that it is not her job. She also lets her two kids run wild, and if other parents complain, she just makes excuses that they are just trying to have fun and it was probably another kid's fault. And by the way guys, I must admit I need to relate to Karen a little bit here, because whenever my cat does something wrong, I also usually put the blame on someone else and defend them. Because as you all know, the cat is always right. Anyway, totally incapable of taking any responsibility for things that she should and thinking everybody around her should pick up her slack. Karen's job is basically whatever pyramid scheme she roped into that month. At least half a dozen times a year, she comes around trying to sell me crap that I don't want or need. Knives, creams, etc. and also telling me I should join and start selling them as a side gig. I think that it would be the one case around here that somebody should not be working. She probably wastes and spends more money than she makes with these scams. Like, I've heard of people falling for them maybe once, but you gotta be insane to keep trying them, failing, and then blaming your neighbors when it doesn't work out. Yeah, I never wanna buy, and she always calls me a crappy neighbor that doesn't care about her family getting by. And yeah guys, clearly, if you don't fall for the MLM scams your neighbor is involved in, you are a heartless human being that doesn't care about other families getting by. That is a beautiful logic that can only come from Karens. Anyway, it's not that I don't care about other families, but I need to take care of my own. I have a kid, a wife and 2 dogs, all of which need money and stuff. We both work, but there are still some weeks where we barely make it to the next paychecks. Some of our shoppings get done online through Amazon because it's easier and sometimes cheaper to get what we need. If it is not from the grocery store or pharmacy, it most likely comes in a box on our front doorstep. Over the years, we have 1 or 2 spread out incidents of the packages being stolen. Annoying, but there really is not anything that I could do about it. Porch pirating is very low criminal activity, and there has not been a great way to protect against it. Aside from being there when packages are delivered and getting them right away. No matter where you live, the longer a package sits, the more in danger it is of being snatched by somebody. And by the way guys, that reminds me of a post I've recently seen on Reddit. I think it was in the Brooklyn subreddit, and some person basically said that the package stealing in New York City is absolutely out of control, and that person apparently lives in some kind of a building where multiple families live, and sometimes the packages are stolen within minutes. So one time that person gets like 2 packages and they are both pretty heavy, so the person said that they brought 1 package up to the room/apartment, and 3 minutes afterwards, so when they came back down, the other package was gone already. Has that ever happened to you? That is absolutely outrageous. Anyway, to continue with the story, I can understand that people are desperate. I've never had a lot, but I also feel there's a big difference between stealing from like some big corporation and stealing from another family that could be struggling too. I'm not advocating at all for people to go to stores and steal. But I will say that when I see a mother trying to sneak a bag of diapers out of the store, I did not see anything. I don't judge other people's needs, but I will judge malicious actions. So anyway, Amazon packages started getting stolen more often here, and I knew that I had to do something. I found the cheapest door camera that I could and installed it to try and see if I could catch who was stealing. I did not have money to just buy things and try and bait. I really tried to get my packages when I could, but sometimes nobody was home and they would get left out. With the camera I could see that it was actually Karen who was stealing my packages, and I would not be surprised if I was not the only house she was stealing from. Like seriously, Karen, you're stealing a box with dog food in it and you don't even have a dog. At least have the courtesy to sneak it back on my porch once you open and see it's not something you need. On that note, I even managed to see that Karen had opened and thrown out the bag of dog food that I had ordered. She was opening things on my porch too, and sometimes would open the box and just leave it if she did not want it. So I don't know what her issue was with the dog food specifically though. Otherwise, if it's anything she might want or a thing her kids might like, she closes the box back up and goes off with it. So now you might think that I have Karen caught on camera and even saw that she had thrown away the dog food. I should go and call the police. Well, life just does not work that way. Karen was smart enough to cover her face, so even though I knew for a fact it was Karen there was no evidence to actually get her on theft. And the dog food was a common brand, and me seeing it in her trash did not prove a damn thing. I went online and started doing research onto porch pirating and found that it was a problem that almost never saw justice. I also noticed that most people are stealing where they don't live, probably so they cannot get recognized and caught. Also, they usually run off with the box first and open it later. So Karen, on top of everything, is a bad thief and deserves to be shamed even just for that alone. Well, looking into things, I found a YouTuber called Mark Robber. He had videos showing that he built these totally insane glitter bombs. Now, these were crazy inventions that I wouldn't have been able to even dream about making. They recorded, they had GPS, they made sounds and just everything. I did not even have a hope to make something that cool, but I was a STEM kid, so I knew how to build things and I knew how to build them without spending a lot of money. Well, the first thing I needed was an Amazon box that I'd already opened. Then I got a smaller box that I put inside of it. I added glitter and was able to spring load it, so as soon as she opened the package, she would be totally sprayed with it. I was also able to add 2 other things to make it more than a little annoying. So we all know that glitter gets everywhere and that's why people use it a lot. I don't think that glitter sticks enough and I wanted Karen to get the message. Again, I'm a budget, so I figured that just some basic petroleum jelly might do the trick. I'm sure there was a much better solution, but I knew that glue would just dry before she even opened it. I was looking at the box of sticky glitter and thought that I was done. I didn't know what else to do for it, and I was just watching Mark Rober's videos for inspiration. He was able to make it spray some really nasty stuff, but honestly it was too complicated for me to pull off. When we were at the grocery store, I noticed something that I figured would work just as well. In the area with dressings and stuff, they had a bottle of fish sauce for sale. I knew from experience and other people telling me that this stuff smelled horrible. I'm sure some people don't mind it. That's me, and if that's you, I'm sorry. Instead of needing to rig anything additional up, I just poured it all over the glitter before sealing up the package. I even used some scented air freshener around the box so it would mask the fish smell until she opened it up. Then I put it on my porch and just waited until the doorbell camera alerted me that somebody was on the property. I put it out before leaving for work and it only took 2 hours before Karen must have noticed the package and came up to get it. She walked up and, like usual, had a beer can in her hand. Which is really odd now that I think about it, because it was only 10 AM, so she clearly had a problem. Anyway, she opened the package and boom! The spring-loaded trap worked and glitter and fish sauce and petroleum jelly shot right into her face. It stuck pretty well on her, but again, there might have been a better way to do that. I'm sure people will tell me in the comments, which I welcome, just in case I need to make one of these in the future. She yelled and dropped it before running off of my property. Then she came back to my porch to kick the box a bunch and start pounding on my door. Nobody answered since I wasn't home. She was swearing at the door and for the first time it was clearly her. When she got hit with the glitter, her hood fell down and she never put it back on. I could not go to the police since I felt like I could get in trouble since this was the only time I could prove she did it. But I took the video and sent it around the neighborhood Facebook group until it was getting shared all over the place. Other neighbors even made comments about packages going missing and now knowing who is probably the person to blame. I'm sure that if Karen wanted to defend herself, she would just be mentioning something like her and her family needing things more than other people did. Again, being totally self-involved when she knew this was a poor area. I mean, I made a glitter bomb with 2 boxes I already had, glitter from the dollar store, petroleum jelly from the dollar store, and $4 fish sauce from the grocery store. Plus making the trap from a bunch of crap I had in the garage. Karen kept getting called a thief and people joking to her that she smelled like fish. It was not letting up and Karen was getting nasty comments and told off left and right. The few people that might have fallen for her scams in the past were now totally against her. She was so embarrassed that a week ago her house sold and her entire family left. To be fair, it could have been for financial reasons, but it made me remember what I did and I wanted to share it on this platform. If you get one message from this, it's don't steal from people's homes. You don't know if the box on their porch is useless or if it is important. I've heard people having this happen when the package was medication, so seriously, just stop if you do this, don't be like Karen or you might get a glitter bomb next. And yeah guys, to be honest, I don't have any sympathy for people stealing packages, no matter if you're poor or rich or anything, there's no reason for stealing other people's mail/packages. It is just a douchebag move. Anyway, the next one is titled, My ex-mother-in-law sent her church friends to harass my daughters and I got pro-revenge. And yeah guys, this is a new story from r/pro-revenge, so you don't want to miss this one. It starts like this. So my 46 female daughters, 17 and 15, have a strained relationship with my ex-husband's parents, 78 male and 80 female. So my ex passed away in an accident last year and we've had some major family drama since due to his cheating and him leaving 2 boys born with his affair partner orphaned. She also died. Part of the drama has been my ex-in-laws trying to get custody of my daughters and them also trying to live with us. First one we are going to court over and the second one will never happen. Where we live, there's a weekend market with fresh produce, eggs, meats and other products straight from farmers. This week was extra special since it was my youngest birthday. Since her party is later in the month, I decided to give her a budget and set her loose on the market to get whatever she wanted. Of course it was mostly chocolate and sweets. After an hour, I did start getting worried and just before I called her, she called me. She was crying, saying some weird people have cornered her. I ran to her with my oldest daughter to find 6 older women berating my daughter for being so-called unchristian, for refusing to spend time with her paternal grandparents or for wanting to be a good big sister to her poor orphan baby brothers. My daughters are the ones that found out about my ex cheating and the babies, so they are not exactly fond of the kids. It's trauma and they are working with a therapist. I got between the group and my daughter, telling my eldest to go pay the stuff her sister had and to go to the car. Then I turned to the women, some of who I knew from when we went to my ex-in-law's church, and ripped them a new one. They told me that I was the worst for refusing to obey my ex-in-laws like a good Christian wife. Eventually, the screaming turned too loud and we were all asked to leave the market. I met with my girls in the car, the women following me like a group of vultures. I then managed to get in the car and drove away. After my girls went to bed, I got online to talk to another member of that church that I'm in good terms with. I told him about what happened, and after he apologized, he told me what was going on. My ex-mother-in-law posted this massive story in the church's Facebook group about how horrible my daughters and I are. How we are leaving them homeless and penniless. By the way, they inherited my ex's personal bank account and his life insurance, and how my daughters don't even talk to them. She also accused us of being the reasons that she lost her grandsons. The boys are now living with distant relatives of my ex-husband. Basically, it was a sob story worthy of a Hallmark movie. And of course, they were getting all the love and support from the more extremist members of their church. This church and its members are a bit annoying, especially with LGBTQ+ topics, but they have a small saving grace. They are incredibly strict about cheating. It's a big no-no, be it from a husband or a wife equally. Now, how did she get around blaming me about affair children without exposing the cheating, you're asking? So she claimed the other woman was our surrogate since I was unable to have more children. Then said I did not want the babies because they were boys, which is absolutely disgusting to be accused of. Well, I decided it was time to clean up this mess, and since I was mid-divorce when my ex died, I had all the evidence needed. And since the divorce was not completed, I don't have any legal ramification for releasing all the evidence. I was off the next day and went to a print shop to get copies of all the delightful pictures of my ex cheating, his text conversations with his affair partner, the ones with his parents confessing to his cheating and getting support from them, my ex-in-laws harassing me about the divorce, and my coup de grace, all the emails and text messages of them bullying my daughters about their baby brothers. In one of them, they call my daughters bastards and telling them it was their fault their father died since they told me about the affair and I began the divorce. This one was literally 2 days after my ex died. I paid extra for all of this to be printed in beautiful high-quality paper. Then when I got home, I sat down for hours to make delightfully personalized binders. They look like the little prayer song packets the church give for everyone to take to sing hymns. And well, the first picture when opening the binder is my ex and his side woman making out in our living room. Their faces are easy to discern and the girl looks nothing like me. Different skin tones and hair color. Underneath I wrote ex-husband's name and affair girl's name love story. I took them to the church before service. There's a desk in the back with the songbooks for people that need/forget their own and they never check them. The gossip mill was quick and harsh. The names my ex and his affair partner got called in the Facebook were so bad the pastor himself had to get involved just to keep things relatively PG-13. People were angry at my ex-in-laws for their abuse to my daughters, but what made me laugh was that I was still in the wrong for the divorce. But it's understandable that I failed on my duties after the shock and I possibly will one day return to the light, unlike my cheating husband and his Jezebel. They also used another word I cannot use here, I imagine. I got 2 apology letters in the mail for my girl and an invitation to join the church for support. As for my ex-in-laws, well, they got shamed into leaving the church. My ex-mother-in-law made a post on her wall about how alienated she feels and how no one cares for the elderly anymore. How she wished her great son was still alive since he would have taken care of her and her husband. With what money? I don't know, since I was the breadwinner. Explanation on the will: my ex-husband had a will that named his parents as beneficiaries. As far as I was aware, he had told me that he had named our daughters and not them. I never pushed for me to be the beneficiary, as my own will has my daughters as the beneficiaries and not him. And yeah guys, this story just made me realize that I really missed the subreddit r/church drama, but sadly there are almost never any news stories on there, so it's really rare to find something there. And now let's move on to the next story. It starts like this. So I was going home by bus, I should have taken the train by the way, one evening and had the misfortune of finding a seat between 2 people. The way this bus was, one row has 2 seats aisle and the other row had 3 seats. I sat in the row between 2 people and they recognized each other and started catching up. They went to university together and had not seen each other at all. This was going to be at least a 45-minute drive given the several stops and traffic. It was uncomfortable for me as they were talking across me and I just needed some quiet. I know this is public transport and all, so I asked them if they would like to switch seats and they both refused. So I put on my earphones and tried to shut them out, but I couldn't given that one party had stale breath. I was listening to a song and I decided to sing out loud. Loud enough that they couldn't get to hear each other, then they stopped talking and I kept quiet. They started talking and I started singing again. Anytime they would talk, I would sing. It went on for a few minutes and then they stopped talking altogether and I had a smoother ride home. I did not care if someone would record me, I was just too irritated. And yeah, ripe stars, if you have watched until here and enjoyed the petty revenge stories, then please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, because we are getting closer and closer to 130,000 subscribers. Thank you so much in advance. The next one is the title story, which is titled "Parents Stole My House, Gave It to My Golden Child Brother Because I'm Single and Deserve No Family." Before I can get into the details of what my parents did, I feel the need to give you all some background on my family and our dynamic. I have an older brother, Kyle, that my parents never hide from either one of us that he was the favorite child. He had always gotten better things than I did for birthdays and Christmas and always was given more freedom to do things that he wanted. He would come home as a teenager at like 3 AM totally drunk and my parents did not bat an eye, but complained that my room was a bit messy. When I told them that they treated him better than me, my mom would just gaslight me and tell me that she treats us the same and I just wanted to throw a fit and get my brother in trouble to be nasty. I knew what was right in front of me and Kyle did too, because he knew that he could get away with treating me like garbage and then get away with it. He also stole money from me, video games that he would then sell, and just anything else he wanted to do. If I tried to tell our mom, she would just chastise me for trying to get him in trouble again and insist that he was a good boy. Our father did not gaslight me, but instead straight up told me that since he was older it meant he was entitled to more than I was, claiming it was that way since olden times with thrones going to the firstborn and I just had to deal with it and stop being jealous of Kyle. I would hear at least once a week, "Mark, you need to leave Kyle alone," when I would end up the one bruised from him hitting me. Things, believe it or not, got worse when I was 16 years old and decided to tell my parents that I was gay. Looking back, I should have kept my mouth shut and thought ahead to the horrible reaction that I was gonna get. Kyle had multiple girlfriends during high school, and I was sick and tired of being asked by my parents why I was not more like him with the girls. I explained that it meant I had no interest in not just girls but anybody. At that point I was basically dead to my parents, and my brother decided it would be funny to constantly call me a freak and make me feel horrible about myself. I won't go into too many details about the dark mental space I was in for years, but I will say that I don't even remember all of the 2 years between me telling them and graduating high school. Once I was 18, they did not see me as their problem anymore and told me to get out of their house. Kyle at that time was living at home with no job and actually no diploma. After a few suspensions for being caught drunk and high on campus, he finally got caught trying to sell on campus and they expelled him. Still, he was the golden child in my parents' eyes. To them, the school had it out for him and did not appreciate him. My dad figured school did not matter and he could eventually get a job anyway. I had good enough grades to get into a college, but with no money or anywhere to live, I ended up getting a job instead and thinking maybe college could come later. After years of saving up, I managed to buy a mobile home. I was taking online college courses at night while working during the day. Once I moved out, I did not hear from any of my family as they didn't even want to be associated with me anymore. The most I heard of was things about Kyle that I was getting from Instagram via people we both knew. He was out partying and just doing whatever he wanted to without a care in the world. I'm sure still living at home and being doted on by our mother and enabled by our father. More years passed and I got my degree and managed to get a better paying job with easier hours doing accounts receivable in an office. I did not change where I lived because the mobile home was just a cheap option and big enough that I could really enjoy my space. Even if I had friends over, it was big enough to hang out with them, and for the first time I actually did have some good friends. In the past, nobody wanted to really go against Kyle and hang out with me much. But on my own, I found some good friends at both my jobs and outside work. Then my parents ended up coming back into my life in the worst way possible. So I came home from work and my entire home was just gone. Those things are pretty big and cannot be moved without some serious equipment. I knew somebody would have seen something, so I started asking around and got the name of the company on the side of one of the trucks that showed up to do it. They assumed that I was moving, but I told them that I had no idea what happened to my mobile home. It was just gone. I called the company and at first they didn't want to tell me anything. Not until I started to threaten them with police and lawsuits, they gave me the address of where they had moved it to. So then I drove about 45 minutes away and saw not only my home but the family that had left me years ago. I was beyond angry seeing them and that they were responsible for it. It was worse than if it was some random person that had stolen it, but my own family who probably had to have stalked me and learned when I would be gone in order to take it away from me. Me, what the hell is going on here? Mom, Kyle needs a place to live. Me, that's all you're gonna say? You steal my entire home with everything in it, and when I finally find it, the only thing you have to say is that Kyle needs a place to live. Father, don't speak to your mother that way. You don't see your family for years and then you yell at them. Me, I have not seen my family in years because you all decided that I was not a part of this family my entire life. Mom, your brother had some problems with work and could not afford rent anymore. We saw that you had this nice big place and it was perfect for him. He has a wife and child to support. It turns out that Kyle did have a wife and kid who, from what I could gather, are just as bad as he is. Me, I don't even know what to say to you right now. Even after you dumped me out of your lives, you still want to let Kyle just have things that belong to me. I paid for this home, it's mine, and you don't get a say in who lives in it. Father, listen here, your brother is actually gonna get married and have a family someday. You don't need space, since you're not going to have a family. You decided that you would rather spend your life alone. That is your choice, but there are consequences for that. You don't deserve a home if you're not gonna get married and have kids. I thought after all this time you might have decided to be normal, but I guess not. Me, I'm done. There's no talking to either one of you, and the fact that Kyle is not even here to do this himself says a lot. I walked away because the more any of us said, the more upset I got over the whole thing. I was just going to get back into my car, drive away and call the police to tell them what happened. They had stolen it from me, and at this point I was not their family anymore, so I didn't care if I got them in trouble for any of this. As for Kyle though, I learned that what really happened was the same old crap as usual. He had gotten a job and got caught doing drugs and got fired. As for where he was during the entire fight with my parents, he was off scoring and getting himself even more drugs. The police told me I could file a report, but it would take a little time before they could recover my house for me. Plus, I would need to sue my parents for the money in order to get the thing moved back onto my property. I wish the law made things a little bit easier, but I couldn't do anything else about it. I did a mix between couch surfing and sleeping in my car until the case could actually get put in front of a judge, since my parents were claiming they owned the mobile home and were just allowing me to use it. I got documents from my county in Texas showing that I owed it, which I presented proving that it was mine. My parents were now struggling and trying to use the same old excuse they always had, claiming that my brother was entitled to it because he was older and I was just being selfish. The judge actually got mad, which I didn't think happened in court. I thought they were normally very poker-faced and even tempered. He told my parents that nobody had the right to steal my property and they should be the ones worried because what they did was a serious crime. Only at that point did they start to worry and realize that they might have done something really bad. This was not petty theft. Sure, it was cheaper than a house, but a mobile home was not cheap, not to mention all my things that I had inside of it, items that I learned for the most part they just dumped. So then I pressed charges against them and they got in some serious trouble by the end of all of it. Kyle got sparred after they all insisted he didn't know about it, and I couldn't prove that he did. Even though I always knew in my gut that he had knowledge and a part in the entire thing. My parents faced serious legal fines and my father ended up behind bars for a little while and they had to pay me back a huge amount of money for all my things that got dumped. Not to mention transporting my home back to my property and the pain and suffering they caused me from not having a home for over a month. To this day I'm sure they see me as their freak of a son and Kyle as the golden child, no matter how badly he screws up. I don't care, since I decided that I'm never having contact with any of them again. They are not my family. And before we end the video, we will read the story from r/malicious compliance. It is titled TSA Malicious Compliance. So picture this, I'm coming through TSA today at ATL. The guy in front of me is emptying his pockets into the bin. As he does so, I notice one AirPod slip out and fall to the floor under the table. I tap him on the shoulder as he turns away to let him know, but he flinches and snaps, "Don't even touch me." I'd bet, no problem bud. So, coming up the stairs after security, I see him rummaging in his pockets like he has lost something, so I give him a big smile, without touching him of course, and say, "Hey man, I think you dropped an AirPod back before the checkpoint. Have a great flight." And here for the non-Americans amongst us, TSA is airport security, and once you go through, you're not coming back without a hassle. And yeah guys, please check out my playlist on the left, otherwise I will see you again tomorrow.